Not sure if you can see my head there, but welcome. My name is Mikey from Segway of Ontario. We're just gonna wait for like a minute or two for those of you to join in. I actually can't see the chat because I'm actually reversed, so you'll have to bear with me here. But yeah, just wait for a moment or two, just so that others can join in if they like. Yeah, just stand by for a sec. Tech Specs, how's it going? How are you? Welcome to the live stream. It's going to be a bit of a different stream today because I want to touch on how to pump up your Ninebot Max scooter tires. So we'll just wait about a few more seconds for others to join in. As you know, we usually do a lot of rides on our Segway of Ontario live streams, but today's a bit of a different one. I wanted to cover how to pump up your electric scooters tires, primarily the Segway-Ninebot scooters, Ninebot Max, whether it's the G30LP, sorry, there's just a plane flying overhead, the G30LP, the G30P, the G2, the F2 Pro. So we'll just go over some little tips to begin with, and then we'll kind of get started into the actual tutorial. So the first thing that you want to know is whether you have either of those scooters. It's always important to look at your instruction manual. So it'll tell you what sort of PSI should be inside of your scooter's tires. So for the Ninebot Max series scooters, we're talking the LP, the G30P, and the G2. It's recommended to keep the tire pressure between 45 to 50 PSI, and you'll find that in the first few pages of your instructions. But if you're looking for the PSI for, let's just say, the F2 Pro, that will be, I believe it's 42 to 48 PSI. I couldn't tell you for other scooters because we're Segway of Ontario. We don't do any other random scooters that are on the market, whether that's Xiaomi or whatnot. But we're strictly Segway-Ninebot scooters that are pretty much within the commuter's realm. So we don't have the GT series. It's just the G30LP, the G30P, the G2, and the F2 Pro. So yeah, I'd just make sure you take a look at the instruction manual for any other random scooter that you have that's that we don't have at our store. You'll find the Max G2 linked in this live stream. So if you're just kind of casually looking around and you want to check it out, I have the product link in this live stream, so you can click that and check it out at your own leisure. But in terms of checking out the specs of your PSI and whatnot, for the Max series scooters in general, it's recommended to keep it between 45 to 50 PSI, although it gets me to my next point, which is you can actually check the tire pressure in two different ways. So not only can you check it via the instruction manual, but you can also check the tire itself. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go manual here and just kind of show you because I think it's best to do that. So give me 1 second. I got to take this phone off of the holder here so I can show you exactly what I mean by this. Okay, so we're gonna go manual here. Yeah, I'm not looking at the chat when I'm actually in front of the camera. So can you see that here? You're gonna look at this. See that? My nails are terrible, but can you see that little PSI rating? So on the tire itself, you can see that the max pressure for the Ninebot Max series scooters is 55 PSI. So that's another way to check the tire pressure. Even though the instruction manual says technically it's between 45 to 50 PSI, the max air that you can put inside your tires here is 55 PSI. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? There you go. So 55 PSI is the actual limit for these tires. That's the max air that you can put in these tires here. So that's another way of checking, because usually the instruction says, well, we recommend this, but you can do it in 2 different ways. So I'm just gonna put this back on the tripod here. But yeah, that's the second way of checking the max pressure. I also want to touch on little tips of, I guess, when you are, I don't know why the flash is on. Little tips about if you're trying to pump up your tires depending on the season. So in the wintertime, there's another plane flying overhead. Sorry about that. If you're pumping up your tires in the wintertime, it's recommended to pump up your tires every 1 to 2 rides, primarily every ride, because the colder the air during this time of the year, and it's getting to this time of the year, it's actually fall weather right now in Toronto, Canada. In the wintertime, it's recommended to pump it up every 1 to 2 rides, or every ride, because the colder the air outside, the more air your tires are actually going to lose. So that's why it's recommended to pump it up every ride, or basically every day. And then if we compare that to the summer months, you're not going to lose that much air every day that you ride, because the warmer the air, the less air you're going to lose in your tires every ride. So they recommend in the instruction manual to pump your tires up every 1 to 3 weeks. So there's less time in between for the winter months, but more time in between for the summer months, because of the quality of the air and the climate outside. So those are some good tips to mention beforehand. Obviously, it'll depend on where you live. So right now, Toronto, Canada, obviously, it's basically getting to that point in the year where you're going to be pumping up your tires a lot more often than you normally would, unfortunately. But here we are. It's just that time of the year that we're in. So let's get to the actual pumping part. Now, we actually have 2 pumps in front of me today. The first one we have is you'll probably recognize this because it's pretty common. It's your manual pump. So first and foremost, I actually have another gadget on here that I will show you in a sec, but I don't know if you can see that. I'm just gonna bring it toward you. This is your gauge here. This is your pump gauge. Can you see that? Okay, this is your pump gauge. So you'll notice right off the bat that this is your PSI reader. What I usually like to do is, if you have one of these, and it's really, really helpful, because sometimes you want to know how much air you're going to be pumping up into your tires. This little dial here, you want to kind of set it to what your limit is, or else you're going to go over that, and probably not the best idea, to be honest with you. So if you can see that, I want to try and get that right about there. I think that's about 55 PSI. Correct me if I'm wrong. What do you think? Is that right? Yeah. I know there's some questions in the chat. I'll get to those as soon as I can, but I just want to demonstrate this. So that's it's just a little dusty here, sorry. Hold on. All right, I think that's okay. So that's your limit there. That's about 55, right dead smack in the middle there. So once you connect this little part here, which is actually a mix of 2 things. First, this is the actual pump head there. And then this little thing here, this little gadget, is actually your valve extender. So you can actually buy these from Segway of Ontario. I actually have a little link in the description there for a version of this valve extender. It's not this one specifically, but it's another one. It's got that little screw head area here, so you can kind of see those little groove marks, if you will. So this little thing is going to go into that part here. Your pump might not look like this. This one is just a CCM pump, so it's got that little lever at the back that you kind of pull up once you lock it in place. Yours might look like it'll have like a little
another end like this that looks like that, but this one's closed off, so it's only the one end that goes in here. And this end here at the end is not to be confused with this end here, because they look similar, but this end is supposed to go on your valve stem on the tire of your scooter, and this end is supposed to get screwed into here. So we're just going to simply, if you can see this here, we're simply going to screw that in like so. And once you feel like it can't be screwed in anymore, you're simply going to take this little lever here like that. You're going to pull it up like that. And once you do that, that's not coming out. It's just stuck in place. So once you have it like that, you're going to simply screw that into your tire, and then we'd be pumping air into it. And I'll show that to you in just a moment. The second pump I want to show you is this guy here. This is what we call an electric pump, an electric tire pump. So the first thing you'll notice is the thing on it, the valve extender, because that manual pump is pretty self-explanatory. It already has it on there, but this has it already because it's just included in it. So you don't actually need one. It comes as is, and you're perfectly good with what you have. So how to work it? Simply, so with this one, obviously there's different variations of tire pumps. With this one in particular, you have your on button. So simply I'm just going to turn that on, and you're going to get a dial looking like this, like so. So to set the PSI, there's actually 4 different ratings on this one. Again, every tire pump is different, but for this is just a Hodo tire pump. This one has 4 modes, so I'm just going to rotate this little dial here. I got this from Hodo. I believe it was on Amazon, but you can get any other tire pump. It works just the same. So you're simply going to just turn this little dial here, and you can see the PSI just going up. Can you see that? You see that there? You're going to just simply turn that dial, but we want to turn that down because that's too much air pressure, right? So air pressure is going down. Our scooter needs 55 PSI, but I don't usually like going up to the max on these just because I want to have a bit of cushion in there. So we're going to just leave it at 50. I think that's pretty good. It'll just turn off to 0 for a second. For whatever reason, it just likes to do that, but we have set it at 50. So once we put it in the scooter, it should input that. Also, there's a couple little buttons on here I kind of want to show you because it looks interesting. Obviously, there's your charge port, so that's how you charge your electric tire pump if you had questions about that. Comes with a little USB-C cable, so that goes in there, and then the output of that would go into your outlet in the wall, whether that's standard, North American, or European. And then this little light here is actually a flashlight. So you can take this and push it on. So let's just say it was dark outside. You can see there's a little flashlight coming out of here. So really handy if you're pumping up your tires in the dark and you just wanted to make sure that you were putting it in the right area of the scooter. That being the valve stem, obviously, but could be, let's just say you were trying to find it and you couldn't find it. That little light is extremely helpful. So good to at least have something there. And you can even see your levels as well on this tire pump. So really handy. I absolutely love this. I don't use it very, very often, but it is a nice to have little feature. So we're just going to simply turn that off because we don't need the flashlight, and off it comes. So let me just bring the tripod down a bit, and then we can kind of show you how we're going to pump up these tires. Obviously, I'm going to keep the tripod focused on the actual what's going on down below so you can see. I can see some questions in the chat, so let me just get this tripod down and I can check them out. I do apologize, it's just kind of hard to do 2 things at once, but I do see them there. So give me a second. So that's about right. So I says, give me max G2 35 kilometers per hour. Fortunately, I don't have a max G2 to give you, but I do apologize, but thank you for tuning into the stream. Really do appreciate it. Habib Ali 08 says, why does a Segway-Ninebot Max G2 Max, why does a Segway-Ninebot G2 Max only go 25 kilometers per hour in Ireland and not 35 kilometers per hour like in the USA? So great question, because this is actually one that gets asked a lot, and I think it's great to address this. It's actually due to the geographical location that you are located in. So there's nothing that that I can do or that Segway-Ninebot can do. It's just because of where you are situated in. There's actually nothing you can do to alter that. And we do not recommend modding your scooter either. It's just part of that experience. If you're in that country, you just can't do anything about it. So unfortunately, it's a speed regulation, but it's just firmware as well. And although they don't tell you that, that's just what I know from what I've seen. And we've gotten lots of comments about that on TikTok and YouTube. So rest assured, I know what you are going through, and I know that it's not an easy one to explain, but I just hope that it sort of clarifies things a little bit. Behran, how are you? He says, or they say, I'm not sure, but where do you bueno that? How do I, kick scooter faster? Were you looking to change speed modes? Because that's, to change speed modes, I can kind of just walk you through that for a second. Basically, you would, actually, let me just show you on the scooter before we begin. So there's my Max G2. I'm just going to show you something quickly before we get started with pumping up tires and whatnot. Okay, I have to enter my code. Give me a second. So okay, so we are in drive. Okay, so this is the middle mode, 25 kilometers per hour in drive mode. To change speed modes, you're simply going to double tap your power button. See this power button here? So this turns on your headlight, but it's also your main button. So you're simply going to double tap this power button. Now we're in sport mode. And then to change the speed again, you're going to double tap the power button once again. So now we're in sport. We're going to double tap it. Now we're in eco mode, which is the slowest setting. And then if you simply just change your mind, oh, I want to go back in drive mode, you just want to double tap the power button again. And now we're back in drive mode, just like that. So again, double tap the power button to change to sport mode. Double tap the power button again to go into eco mode. And then double tap, oops, sorry. Double tap the nope, sorry. There we go. Double tap the power button to go into drive mode. So you're basically double tapping the power button to change speed modes on your Segway-Ninebot scooter. And again, that just applies for the Max series, the F series, the E series. I don't know what other scooter has that functionality, but just FYI. So, okay, I think we can actually see that tire there. I don't know, actually, I'm gonna lower it down a little bit more, just so we're at sort of like a ground level and you can experience this just like I would if I'm looking at it. I think that's about right. I just wanna make sure you can kind of see what I'm seeing. That's about right, okay. Cool. Can you see that there? Okay, great. We're gonna do a demonstration with each tire. I think we'll just do like, I'll pump this tire up with the electric pump so you can see how it works. It's very interesting because it literally sounds like an air compressor. So I just wanna, just FYI, in case you're using headphones and you don't wanna listen to this, I'd recommend just turning it to the bare minimum. And I'll give you a go as to like when it's gonna kind of kick in there. So firstly, you're gonna see there's a valve cap here. And what we wanna do is we wanna take that off. So you can see, actually you can't see because I'm trying to show you. All right, so you're gonna see that. You just wanna simply turn that. So it's gonna start screwing out, like so. So this little guy looks like this. It's a little cap. See that? Cool. So this little guy, we're just going to put it aside because we don't want to lose it. That'll go on the top of the scooter there. And then you're going to take your, you see that there? Cool. You're going to take this part of your electric tire pump, and we're simply going to put it on. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to turn this electric pump on. All right, so now we can see the reader. Very good. We're going to put this, in here, and we're just going to screw it in. You're going to hear some hissing. So the hissing has begun. And then when you don't hear any hissing, you are simply just fine. You don't have to do anything. So now we're going to start pumping it up. And I'm going to just give you enough. If you have headphones, don't have them full blast. We're going to start pumping the tires up. Can you see that? We're going to just back it up so you can see the pressure as it goes in. Is that good? Can you see that? Okay. So, and watch this. We're going to push one button. And just like that, we have hit 50 PSI. We're going to unscrew that. And again, you could have had it like at 55. I just like to keep mine sort of in the middle, just depends on what you like. But as we can see, tire pressure is good. And then we're going to take the valve cap once again, and this little guy is going to go right back onto the valve stem. So just like that, one tire is fully pumped. We're good. Now we're going to go to the back, fill up the rear tire, and the same situation applies. Before we go though, we're just going to power this guy off just like so, or it can just turn off by itself. So this guy is off. So that's the electric air pump. So that can go aside for now. I'm just going to make sure it doesn't fall. There we go. And now we're going to move the scooter forward a bit. If you can see that, I might actually rotate it so you can see the other side, because I don't think the orientation is right. Is it on that side? Yeah, it is on that side. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just bring it in, turn it around. Okay. Can you see that area there? Is that right? And I just want to make sure the tire is in the right place so we're not constantly scrolling around trying to find the valve cap area. That's right. Okay. So I'm just going to simply put the kickstand on, because it does get very complicated if you're trying to move that around and it gets sort of tangled in this area here. You don't kind of want that. You just want it sort of facing you, but not in the way of the rear fender around this side. So simply, we are going to get the pump, bring it to our side here. We're going to take the valve cap off. You see that? I'm going to just simply unscrew it. It's squeaking. That's okay. So we're going to take this guy. Again, that's your valve cap, like so, and we're going to just simply put it on the scooter deck. And like I probably explained at the beginning of the stream, this is how you set, and it's probably recommended to get one of these. If you don't have one of these pumps at home, you can get them at Canadian Tire. They're really easy to find. They're just a regular bike pump, but you want to look for one of these with the gauge, because this is extremely helpful when it comes to trying to find the exact PSI to pump into your electric scooter. So that way you're not pumping too much, not pumping too little. It's just right, but it'll show you exactly what PSI should go into this guy or whatever electric kick scooter you have. But always follow by the instruction manual, because it'll tell you for the most part what the right measurement is and what you should be going for. So that is
what you should be looking for. An electric, or a manual bike pump with the gauge, or depending on if you like the electric function as well. So simply we're going to take the valve extender part and we're going to screw it. I don't know if you can see that, but we're going to screw this little part here, this little guy, this end. And we're going to screw this part. It's going to wiggle a little bit, but you're going to screw that into the valve stem. It is going to just take a little while to put in there because the motor sticks out a little bit, but it's just enough that you can get it in. You will hear some air. That's okay. Just keep screwing it in. And then once you can't hear anymore, it should be locked into the valve stem that you can start pumping air inside the tires. So I'm going to just bring you over to this side so you can see what I'm doing. Can you see that? It might be better. Okay. So you can see kind of how I'm going about it. All right. So I'm gonna, and this is important for balance, just want to rotate you again. You can see that I'm gonna be putting one foot on the floor pad area and then my other foot on this pad. And that's just to balance myself because this is what the pump enables us to do. You're just stepping on these parts of the foot pad so that you can actually pump air and then get the proper momentum and all that. So now we're going to rotate you back so you can see what's going to happen here. Good. All right, so now we're going to, that's right. Yeah. I'll just keep it here. Cool. All right, so we're just going to simply pump air. And we were a little low on air, wow. So 40, it's getting up to 40. And just like so, I think that should do it. So now we're at to 50. And as you can see, I'm just going to show you the gauge here. The gauge has stopped. Can you see that? The gauge has pretty much stopped at like 50 PSI. And that means we're good. We don't actually need to pump any more in there. Again, you can go a little bit more, but not very much, like 1 or 2%, 1 or 2 more PSI. But it'll start kind of hissing a bit more. That basically means that you're just trying to take off the valve extender from the valve stem. And there we have it. So you're going to take your valve cap, this guy here, and I'm going to rotate you back so you can see what's going to happen. Really easy because we're just putting it right back onto the to the tire again, or to the valve stem, which is this right here. So this guy is your valve cap, and you're going to simply screw it onto the valve stem. Can you see that here? And you're going to just simply rotate that. Let me know if you see that. Perfect. So just like that, your tires are now pumped. So that is essentially how you pump up your electric scooter tires. I'm just simply going to rotate this. So essentially that is how you pump up your electric scooter's tires. I'm going a little mobile here for a second. And another good thing to do is when you are pumping up your tires and you're not sure of like if your tires are adequately pumped, just usually what people will do is they will kind of put their fingers and squeeze the side of the tire. Not recommended because you can't really feel that. That's just usually just a bike thing. But with scooter tires, it's best to just push on the front of the tire or the back of the tire. It's just getting a little buggy right now, but you're going to push on the front of the tire or the just to make sure that there's actually enough air in there. And what I will do is just raise up the tripod a bit so you can see what I'm showing you.
I think that's right. So just like so, I think that's about right. Okay, push there to get that sorted out there. So yeah, I hope that basically explains how to pump up your tires. And again, you do the exact same thing with the back of the tire. It's a little hard because obviously the rear fender is in the way, so there's only so much you can really do, but I'll try to just show you. Again, just simply make sure that there's enough air in your tires. Just want to push. And if you feel like there's no give, then it should be good. And yeah, I actually hope that explains how to pump up your tires. We have time for some questions in the chat if anyone has any questions. Tool Canvas, what's going on? And yeah, thank you for actually, thank you for all the feedback and all that. Yeah, I really hope that this pumping up your tires tutorial has been really helpful. Again, this will be available for you when we are, God, it's getting so buggy outside. It'll be available for you when we are done live streaming. So if you have any questions, you can always revisit it and, you know, just play it whenever you like. Raphael says, nice scooter. Thank you, Raphael. I really appreciate it, man. Yeah, I simply want to just use this as a way to show you how to do certain things. So although I do rides on this on the scooter, more so it's for just you know, doing tutorials and showing you how to do some cool things that you don't normally get to see with any other I guess any other device. Elneen says, I have the same scooter, it stops changing. Have you ever tried to charge your scooter with the second option? Are you referring to the fast charger? Yeah, so I mean, I will say, oh, charging. You mean charging. So if that's happening, I would recommend reaching out to, and this is if your scooter is under warranty, I would recommend reaching out to Segway-Ninebot, the manufacturer. And you can reach them at technical support at segway.com. So that's technical support at segway.com. And I believe you need a purchase receipt. Sorry, the mosquitoes are all over me. You need a purchase receipt, and it'll just ask you for any other information. So like faulty information that's maybe happening with your scooter. So you just want to submit that on the form. It's just the regular form, sorry, mosquitoes are all over me again. But you just want to make sure, sorry, you just want to make sure that you submit all the required information. It's just going to ask you for your first name, last name, all that information. So you're going to put that in, and then essentially Segway-Ninebot should get back to you in the next like 2 to 3 days, because sometimes they get an overload of different requests. And then hopefully within that time frame, they'll give you an update about the status of your submission, and you'll be able to see what's going on with that. But yeah, if you go to Google, it should give you this request repair service form. So just look up Segway request repair service. You'll see the first form that pops up, click it, and then fill in your information, and you should be okay. So yeah, let me know if that helps. But yeah, it's getting really buggy out here. Again, this was just a tutorial showing you how to pump up your tires on your Segway-Ninebot Max. Same thing with the F2 Pro, just a different PSI. So just make sure you read your instruction manual before going through with this to make sure that you're actually pumping the right required PSI of that specific scooter. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. This is Mikey from Segway of Ontario, and let me know in the comments what you want me to cover next, because there's a lot of topics that I really want to cover, especially as winter creeps around the corner. So until next time, this is Mikey signing out, and we'll see you soon.